As Syria decides on the shape and tenure of its government after the end of the Assad regime, top diplomats from the United States, the Arab League and Turkey met in the Jordanian port city of Aqaba to discuss the situation in the country and the transition of power. The gathering, which also had in attendance representatives from the European Union and the United Nations, talked at length on the priorities the new leadership in Syria should adopt, including inclusivity and minority rights. Fear of a rise of terror remains a big concern. The leaders assure support to united, sovereign Syria. There was no Syrian representatives on the table, and also Iran and Russia, who were the ousted regime's key supporters, were not invited.
We do not want Syria to descend into chaos. We don't want for Syria but to move along a path that leads it towards the future, as I have said, a future that is prosperous for all Syrians. The mechanisms to achieve this future are clear. Mechanisms we all know, defined in Resolution 2254.
Now, according to the CIA World Factbook, Sunni Muslim Arabs make up 50% of Syria's nearly 24 million population, while Alawites, Kurds and Christians make up 45%. The remaining percentage comes from Druze, Ismaili and other ethnic and religious groups. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that the country's officials now have direct contact with Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Speaking at a news conference in Aqaba, Jordan, Blinken said he will not discuss details of the contacts, but said it was important for the U.S. to convey messages to the group about its conduct and how it intends to govern in a transition period. Meanwhile, a week since the fall of Bashar al-Assad, Syria struggles to get back on its feet again. Preparations are on for Damascus International Airport to resume operations. It has been closed since December 8th. Following the fighting to oust al-Assad. The director of the Damascus International Airport said that Syrian airspace has already been opened for safe passage and that the airport would soon be ready to receive flights normally. One significant development is the reopening of the Turkish embassy in Damascus, which had suspended operations back in 2012 due to escalating security conditions during the civil war. Syrians welcomed the move. Now, this is the moment when the Turkish flag was raised above the walled compound in the Syrian capital for the first time in 12 years. The newly appointed Charge d'Affaires Burhan Koglu was present at the ceremony. SGS leader Ahmed al-Shara has also said SGS group is communicating with Western embassies as it tries to restore governance in Syria. He added that Syria was too exhausted for another war amid Israeli forces seizing a buffer zone in the occupied Golan Heights. And to discuss more, we were earlier joined by Adrian Calamil from New York. He is a fellow at the Arabian Peninsula Institute at the Center of Terrorism and Middle Eastern scholar. Now, we asked him about the challenges that lies ahead for Syria, and this is what he said.
Great questions. With HTS, I think everybody needs that. We're looking at a transitional government and trying to bring and restore some order to the country that has been racked by civil war for so long. In the back of our mind, we have to remember that HTS is essentially, they are Taliban, they're Al-Qaeda. That's who a lot of the rebel forces were. They're Chechens from Al-Qaeda brigades, Uzbeks, Tajiks from Al-Qaeda brigades. So what we've seen during this time is Jalani, who's gotten the full support from Erdogan, and we see the same type of thing in Afghanistan with the Taliban. This charm offensive is that they have ridden the kind of the wake of the ISIS barbarism as presenting themselves as this moderate state option. But what we're really going to have, and this is my greatest fear, is that everybody's rushing through this. Turkey's driving this. The United States is with this in the dying days of the Biden administration, is that you're going to have another Islamic emirate right on the Mediterranean this time. So you have an Islamic emirate in Afghanistan. You're going to have an Islamic emirate in Syria. And those are the building blocks towards building a global caliphate. And that should be everybody's concern. Jelani just didn't shed his jihadist Al-Qaeda clothes overnight. He was issued a bayat with Al-Qaeda, and you can't break those. ISIS broke that, and we saw what happened to ISIS. So this is a concern.